Hello guys, so good to be back on this YouTube channel Filament Daily after almost a month of no videos. I was extremely busy on my main channel Laravel Daily with Laravel 12 new launches, starter kits and other topics. Now I can finally, so to speak, breathe normally and get back to talking about Filament. And also I have one more excuse to do so. Do you see this number? Just this morning I woke up on my dashboard to see this milestone. The channel Filament Daily reached 10,000 subscribers. So this is another extra motivation for me to get back and shoot more videos about Filament. Today I want to show you the code of one project called SaaSykit, which under the hood uses Filament. And I want to show how they deal with roles and permissions powered by Spatie Laravel permission package. This SaaSykit is not a free tool, it's not open source, but I got access to its code to review it a bit. I also did a few videos on my main channel Laravel Daily roughly a month ago. And disclaimer, I'm not affiliated with SaaSykit in any way, I'm just a code reviewer here. So here's the dashboard of a demo project of SaaSykit when I log in as admin. A lot of things here, a lot of menu items, and how do they deal with who can access what. Also along the way I want to say good words about SaaSykit as a tool that is updated. So in Composer.json you can see already Laravel 12 and Filament 3.3 which supports Laravel 12. So this is a good example with B on the latest versions. Now in the same Composer.json you can see Spatie Laravel Permission. Then there's a seeder file for all the roles and permissions in the database that uses the models from that Spatie package. So you can see permission and role models from the package. And then a lot of permissions are seeded in the permissions database table, just with string of create users, update users, and so on. Since they are repeating, maybe I would refactor those into for each loop. So maybe that seeder would be shorter, but not by much. So first we seed the permissions, and then by default, all the permissions are given to role of admin. As a result, in the database we have admin user with user ID 1, for example. Then we have roles with one role of admin. Then we have a table model has roles, a pivot table with polymorphic relations, so assigning role ID 1 to user ID 1. And finally, the database table role has permissions, is a pivot table assigning all those permissions by their IDs to role ID 1. So that's the first step, seeding the database. Now, Filament, menu items, these ones rely on Laravel policies. For example, if we click orders, we see the table of orders, which is powered by resource of order resource with model order class. By default, and I will open the documentation here, Filament will observe any model policies. So by default, Filament would search for order policy, which actually exists here. And then the methods of view, create, update, and others rely on Spatie permission to return true or false with this syntax. So in this case, for orders, return true for creating new orders and return false for restore or force delete. But with everything else, for example, view is true for those who have permission to view orders or they are the author of that order by order user ID column. And then if that is true, they see the view button here to view the actual order. Now as an experiment, let's change that to return false. And now if we refresh that page, we should see forbidden. So this is how it works with policies. In general with Laravel, which under the hood in this case use Spatie package. And this is automatically found by Filament resource. Let's get back here. And also in the policy, there may be a method which isn't present here called view any. For example, let's take a look at the menu item called plans for product management plans, because this is a kit for SaaS management. So one of the functions is to manage plans for subscriptions. And then there's a plan policy for that model, for that resource with view any, which means the user would see the menu item on the left. If you return false here, for example, let's click on some other menu item and the plans would disappear here. And then even if you know the URL, we go back and we see plans as forbidden. So this is the general logic of policies in Filament, but on top of that, also resources have additional functions to manage how some buttons are shown or not shown. For example, in the order resource, we have two functions, can create and can edit, both false because the orders can be created generally in the system, so create true in the policy, but they are created not from the resource, which means can create false, will hide any button in resource to create a new order. If we return true here, for example, this is the orders table, and we refresh and we see the button new order, which should not be here. I'm not even sure what happens if we click here. Oh, empty form, obviously, because we don't have the form to edit or create the order from Filament. Orders are placed elsewhere. But this is just as an example of permission, which is kind of two ways. Policy is general for Laravel platform, which is also used in Filament, but also there are hide and show methods in Filament resource for specific buttons. So yeah, this is what I wanted to show you about roles and permissions in this Filament example. What do you think? Do you have any other ways to deal with roles and permissions? Do you do something differently? Let's discuss in the comments below. That's it for this time, and see you guys in other videos.